You weren't born mentally tough. Nobody is. Strength appears the moment life stops going the way you expected it to. The missed opportunities, the pressure, the problems that don't ask for permission before arriving. Most people break there. They complain, they resist, they search for someone to blame. But Musashi believed that struggle isn't a punishment, it is a forge. He wrote that a warrior must be prepared for all things because the world will not soften for you. Toughness begins the moment you stop asking life to be gentle and instead begin strengthening the part of you that must endure. In your own life, the hardship you carry right now, the stress, the uncertainty, the emotional weight you never asked for, this is not the barrier to your strength. This is where your strength is being shaped. You don't become unbreakable by avoiding problems. You become unbreakable by learning to walk through them without losing your center. That quiet steadiness, the part of you that refuses to collapse, that is where your real toughness is born. Chapter 2. Being unbothered by small storms. Most people don't break under great disasters. They break under small, constant noise. The tiny frustrations, the misunderstandings, the delays, the opinions of others, little storms that never stop circling the mind. Today, we let every minor inconvenience steal our peace. One comment ruins the whole day. One setback rewrites our worth. But Musashi warned that the mind which trembles over small matters will shatter when real hardship arrives. So he trained himself to remain steady, not cold, not numb, simply unmoved by what did not deserve his spirit. He lived simply, traveled light, carried only what was necessary, because every extra attachment was a weakness, and he treated thoughts the same way. If a worry had no purpose, he released it. If a distraction didn't serve his path, he cut it away. That wasn't philosophy, it was survival. In battle, hesitation meant death. In life, overthinking drains the soul in the same way. Look at your own days. How much energy do you lose reacting to things that do not truly matter? The traffic, the gossip, the judgment, the noise. Mental toughness begins when you stop feeding every passing emotion, when you choose calm over reaction, when you refuse to be dragged into battles that add nothing to your path. Strength is not about fighting everything. It is about protecting your attention, guarding your inner stillness, and walking forward, unbothered by storms too small to shape your destiny. Chapter 3. Discipline. When no one is watching. Musashi didn't become strong because he was gifted. He became strong because he trained when no one was there to see it. No applause, no audience, no reward, just repetition. Day after day, he sharpened his craft in silence because he understood that discipline is the anchor of the mind. When effort becomes a habit instead of a mood, struggle loses its power over you. The world chases motivation, but Musashi lived by rhythm. He practiced until the work no longer depended on how he felt. It simply became who he was. Today, most people begin only when inspired and stop the moment life becomes uncomfortable. But toughness is built in the moments you keep going anyway. When you study while tired, train while doubtful, move forward, even when your feelings try to pull you backward. Every time you act with commitment instead of emotion, you remind your mind that it is stronger than its impulses. Musashi wrote that the path is walked through constant training, not sudden bursts of effort. And the same is true for you. The small daily commitments, the quiet habits no one praises, are what harden the spirit. Not loud speeches, not dramatic promises, just steady action taken again and again. Discipline is not restriction, it is freedom from the weakness of hesitation, and the person who can rely on their own consistency cannot be easily broken. Chapter 4. The Strength to Walk Alone. There comes a point in every person's life where the path narrows and the noise of the world begins to fade. Friends drift, approval disappears, the crowd stops cheering. And for the first time, you realize that your journey is yours alone. Most people panic in that silence. They chase company, validation, reassurance, anything to avoid feeling unsupported. But Musashi wrote about walking the path alone, not as loneliness, but as maturity. He believed that a warrior must not depend on the understanding of others to continue moving forward. When he withdrew to caves and mountains, people thought he was isolating himself. In truth, he was strengthening the only companion he would carry for life, his own mind. Without distraction, without praise, without noise, he learned to act from purpose instead of approval. And that is a kind of strength few ever develop. Look at your own life. How much of your doubt comes from fearing what others think? How many dreams have you paused because someone questioned them? Mental toughness means learning to move even when no one claps for you, even when people misunderstand your choices. It means trusting your direction enough to continue without external permission. You don't become unbreakable by surrounding yourself with constant support. You become unbreakable when you realize that even if every voice falls silent, you will keep walking with dignity, with clarity, with the quiet confidence of someone who no longer needs the world to agree in order to stay committed to their path. Chapter 5. Turning hardship into training. Most people see hardship as something to escape, a bad season, an unfair moment, a weight they want gone as fast as possible. But Musashi saw difficulty differently. To him, every challenge was practice, a chance to strengthen the mind the same way the body is strengthened through pressure. He believed that if you treat struggle as an enemy, it will always defeat you. But if you treat it as a teacher, it will shape you into someone nothing can easily break. In battle, he faced uncertainty, fear, and danger, yet he did not resent those moments. He studied them. He watched his own reactions, his emotions, his tension, and he trained himself to remain steady inside the chaos. That is where his toughness came from, not from avoiding difficulty, but from using it. Look at your life, the frustration, the stress, the setbacks you wish would disappear. They are also your training ground. Every time you stay calm instead of exploding, patient instead of angry, disciplined instead of defeated, you forge a stronger version of yourself. Hardship does not weaken you by default. It only weakens you when you refuse to grow from it. Musashi understood that the world cannot always be gentle, so he chose to become stronger instead of waiting for life to become easier. And when you begin to do the same, when you see struggle as preparation rather than punishment, you stop breaking under pressure and start rising through it. Chapter 6. Calm in the middle of chaos. Musashi's power didn't come from aggression. It came from stillness. In the middle of danger, he moved with calm precision while others rushed, panicked, and broke under fear. He believed that losing your inner balance is more dangerous than any opponent, because the true battle is always inside the mind first. If your thoughts scatter, your actions follow. But if your spirit remains steady, even chaos begins to slow around you. He practiced this not only in duels but in daily life, carving wood, painting, meditating by rivers, training his mind to remain present no matter what surrounded him. To Musashi, stillness wasn't hiding from life. It was meeting life without being swallowed by it. Think about your own storms, the arguments, the uncertainty, the pressure, the moments where everything seems to spin at once. Most people react immediately. They rush, defend themselves, raise their voice, tighten their chest, and in that rush, they lose control. Mental toughness is the opposite. It is the breath before the response, the pause before emotion takes over, the choice to stay grounded when everything around you tries to pull you off center. You don't become strong by eliminating chaos from your life. You become strong by learning to remain calm inside it, to think clearly, act deliberately, and trust yourself even when the moment feels overwhelming. That quiet steadiness, that inner stillness, is the signature of an unbreakable mind. Chapter 7. The Inner Victory. In the end, Musashi understood that the greatest battles are not fought with swords. They are fought within the self. The doubt that whispers you're not enough, the fear that makes you hesitate, the voice that tells you to quit when life becomes heavy. Most people spend their lives trying to conquer the world outside while ignoring the conflict happening inside their own mind. But Musashi wrote that true strength comes from knowing yourself completely, without illusion, without excuses, without running away from who you are. He spent his final years in solitude, writing, reflecting, facing his own thoughts with honesty. Not to escape the world, but to master his relationship with it. Because when you understand yourself, your weaknesses, your patterns, your triggers, problems lose their power over you. You stop reacting blindly. You stop breaking in the same places. You begin to live with clarity instead of confusion. Look at your journey so far. Every hardship, every lesson, every moment you refuse to collapse. It has been shaping something deeper than toughness. It has been shaping self-respect. Mental toughness is not about appearing strong to others. It is about trusting yourself enough to face life directly. When your actions, values, and path align, you no longer need approval, distractions, or escape. You stand grounded in who you are. And that is the quiet victory Musashi believed was greater than any duel.